The painful sting of solar radiation shot through Ian Fletcher's skin as he absent-mindedly rolled up his sleeves while working on the laboratory's external scanner. He'd been so focused on fixing the malfunctioning equipment that he'd forgotten about Proxima Centauri's intensified ultraviolet rays on this side of the research station. After an hour exposed to the harsh light, his forearms had turned an angry red. "Almost got it," Ian muttered to himself, tightening the final bolt on the scanner housing. The device had been acting up for days, giving false readings of the planet's atmospheric composition. As the first human technician assigned to the Galactic Science Academy's new research outpost on Proxima Centauri B, he took pride in keeping everything running smoothly. The airlock door slid open behind him with a soft hiss. Ian glanced over his shoulder to see 3 Xelarian students entering the external deck. Their iridescent blue skin gleamed under the alien sun as they approached, their 4 eyes blinking in alternating patterns, a sign of curiosity in their species. "Technician Fletcher, we require assistance with the spectral analysis equipment," said Vexer, the tallest of the 3. His voice translator produced perfect English, though the slight delay between his mouth movements and the sound still took some getting used to. "Give me just a second," Ian replied, closing the panel on the scanner. "There, that should do it." He turned to face the students, wiping sweat from his brow. Milara, the female Xelarian with distinctive purple markings along her neck, suddenly stepped back. All 4 of her eyes widened simultaneously, a sign of alarm. "Technician Fletcher, your epidermal layer is experiencing severe damage," she exclaimed, pointing at his forearms. Ian looked down at his skin. The redness had intensified, and small blisters were beginning to form along the outer edges of his forearms. "Oh, that's just a sunburn," he said with a dismissive wave. The 3 alien students froze, their translucent gill-like structures on their necks fluttering rapidly, a physiological response to stress or shock. "A what burn?" asked Trelev, the 3rd student. His 4 eyes blinked out of sync, indicating confusion. "Sunburn. You know, when human skin gets too much sun exposure, the UV radiation damages the skin cells." Ian shrugged. "It happens all the time back on Earth." The Xelarians exchanged glances, their head tentacles vibrating in what Ian had come to recognize as their way of communicating silently among themselves. Vexer stepped forward cautiously. "You are saying this is normal? Your cellular structure is clearly compromised." "Those are fluid-filled vesicles forming on your epidermis." "Yeah, blisters, they're not a big deal." Ian rolled down his sleeves, wincing slightly at the fabric touching his tender skin. "I'll put some aloe on it later." "Aloe." Malara's voice translator couldn't quite capture the pitch of concern in her actual vocalization. "Is this a medical treatment?" "Sort of. It's a plant extract that soothes the skin." Ian moved toward the airlock door. "Come on, let's go look at that spectral analyzer you mentioned." The Xelarians didn't move. They were still staring at his covered arms as if expecting them to burst into flames at any moment. "Your epidermis is actively deteriorating and you wish to continue working." Trelev's translator conveyed his disbelief perfectly. Ian sighed. He'd been on the research station for 3 months now, and cultural misunderstandings were still a daily occurrence. "Look, it's just a minor injury. Humans get them all the time, our skin heals." "But the damage is extensive," Vexer insisted. "On our world, such epidermal rupturing would indicate severe radiation poisoning requiring immediate medical intervention." Ian was about to brush off their concerns again when he noticed Dr. Ilara Zovic, the station's xenobiologist, approaching from the laboratory entrance. Her expression was stern. "Mr. Fletcher, why aren't you wearing your UV protection gear?" she asked, eyeing his rolled-up sleeves. "I was just fixing the external scanner. Didn't think I'd be out here that long," Ian replied. Dr. Zovic shook her head. "The Proxima Centauri radiation levels are significantly higher than Earth's. You know the safety protocols." She turned to the Xelarian students. "I apologize for my colleague's carelessness. Human skin can indeed recover from ultraviolet damage, but he should have been more careful." The Xelarians seemed relieved to hear a human authority figure taking the situation seriously. Dr. Zovic, Malera said. We were concerned because on our homeworld, skin blistering indicates critical cellular breakdown. Is it truly different for humans? Yes, but that doesn't mean it's good for us, Dr. Zovic explained. Mr. Fletcher, please report to the medical bay. I'll have Dr. Bennigan look at those burns. Ian wanted to protest but knew better than to argue with Dr. Zovic in front of the students. Fine, he conceded. Vexer, I'll help with your spectral analyzer after I get checked out. As Ian walked toward the medical bay, the three Xelarian students followed at a distance, their head tentacles still vibrating in silent communication. Their persistent concern made Ian uncomfortable. It was just a sunburn, after all, nothing to get so worked up about. The medical bay doors slid open automatically as Ian approached. Dr. Jared Bennigan looked up from his console, immediately noticing the three anxious Xelarians trailing behind Ian. Let me guess, Doctor. Bennigan said, You've been teaching our visitors about human fragility again. Not intentionally, Ian replied, rolling up his sleeves to reveal the reddened, blistering skin. It's just a sunburn, but they're acting like I'm about to disintegrate, Doctor. Bennigan examined Ian's arms with a handheld scanner. Second degree in some spots. You're lucky it's not worse. He glanced at the Xelarian students hovering by the doorway. You three can come in if you want. Might as well make this educational. The aliens hesitantly entered the medical bay, their four eyes darting between Ian's damaged skin and the medical equipment. Is this a common injury for humans? Vexer asked. More common than we'd like to admit, Dr. Bennigan replied, applying a cooling gel to Ian's arms. Human skin wasn't designed to handle intense ultraviolet radiation. We evolved on a planet with a thick atmosphere that filters out most harmful rays. Yet you expose yourselves deliberately. Malera's tone conveyed genuine confusion. Sometimes by accident, like our friend here, Doctor. Bennigan said, and sometimes on purpose. Many humans on Earth actually lie in the sun intentionally to darken their skin. This revelation caused such agitation among the Xelarians that their translators couldn't keep up with their rapid vocalizations. They do this, knowing it causes damage. Trelev finally managed to ask, Vanity is a powerful motivator across species, I imagine, Dr. Bennigan said with a smile. But yes, it's not wise. Repeated sun damage can lead to skin cancer later in life. Cancer. All three aliens spoke simultaneously, their translators creating an eerie echo. Ian winced, both from the sting of the cooling gel and the realization that they'd just opened another complex topic. It's a disease where cells multiply out of control, he explained quickly. But that's a whole different lesson. Dr. Bennigan wrapped Ian's arms in a transparent, medicated film. This should help with the healing process. Keep it covered for at least 24 hours and no more work outside without proper protection. So the damage is repairable? Vexer asked, leaning closer to observe the treatment. Absolutely, Dr. Bennigan assured him. First and second degree burns heal completely in most cases. The skin will peel as new cells replace the damaged ones. Peel, Malera's translator couldn't disguise her horror. It's normal, Ian said quickly. Part of the healing process. The three Xelarians exchanged glances again, their head tentacles vibrating intensely. We have a request, Vexer said after a moment. For our xenobiology studies, may we observe and document your healing process? Such resilience to radiation damage is unknown among our species. Ian looked at Dr. Bennigan, who shrugged. As long as it doesn't interfere with his work, the doctor said. I guess that's fine, Ian agreed reluctantly. But don't make a big deal out of it, okay? It's just a sunburn. The next morning, Ian arrived at the laboratory to find all three Xelarian students waiting for him, along with Professor Zondar, their xenobiology instructor. The professor's dark blue skin and elaborate head tentacles marked him as an elder of their species. Technician Fletcher, Professor Zondar greeted him. My students have informed me of your epidermal radiation injury. I hope you don't mind, but I've adjusted their research project to include a study of human cellular regeneration. Ian suppressed a groan. It's really not that interesting. Just a minor burn. On the contrary, Professor Zondar said, the ability of human skin to repair itself after radiation damage is fascinating to us. Xelarian skin cannot regenerate after such trauma. We must replace damaged tissue with synthetic substitutes. This was news to Ian. Really? I didn't know that, indeed, which is why we're particularly interested in your, what did you call it? Sunburn. The professor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. May we examine your injury? Reluctantly, Ian rolled up his sleeves, revealing the bandages Dr. Bennigan had applied. The 3 students moved closer, their data tablets ready to record observations. I need to remove the bandages to check on it anyway, Ian said, carefully peeling back the transparent film. Underneath, his skin was still an angry red, with several blisters now fully formed along his forearms. The Xelarians made sounds that their translators didn't convert, presumably expressions of surprise or concern in their native language. The damaged tissue is still intact, Professor Zonder noted, leaning closer, and these fluid-filled vesicles, they are part of the healing process. Yes, Ian explained. The blisters protect the damaged skin underneath while new skin forms. If they don't break, they'll eventually reabsorb. Malera was scanning his arm with a small device. Your cellular regeneration rate is accelerated in the damaged areas. Fascinating. Can we document the progression daily? Vexer asked, already taking images with his tablet. I suppose so, Ian agreed. As long as it doesn't take too much time, I still have a station to maintain. For the next week, Ian's daily routine included a brief session with the Xelarian students who meticulously documented the changes in his skin. The blisters gradually dried up, the redness faded, and by the 5th day, his skin began to peel. This process particularly fascinated the aliens. They watched in a mixture of horror and scientific interest as Ian demonstrated how the dead skin naturally sloughed off to reveal new, healthy skin underneath. It is both disturbing and remarkable, Professor Zondar commented as he observed Ian's healing arms. Your species has evolved a highly efficient repair mechanism for radiation damage. It's not perfect, Ian admitted. Too much exposure can still cause permanent damage or lead to skin cancer later in life, like Dr. Bennigan mentioned. Yet you accept this risk, Trelev noted. Your species routinely exposes itself to your home star's radiation. We try to be careful, Ian said. Sunscreen, protective clothing, limiting exposure during peak hours. But yeah, we still go outside in the sun. It's part of life on Earth. By the 10th day, Ian's sunburn had healed completely. His skin was slightly darker where the burn had been a tan line marking the boundary between his previously exposed forearms and the skin that had been protected by his sleeves. The Xelarian students presented their findings at the Academy's monthly research symposium. Their presentation, titled Human Epidermal Regeneration Following Ultraviolet Radiation Exposure, drew an unexpectedly large audience from various alien species studying at the Galactic Science Academy. Ian sat uncomfortably in the front row as the students displayed detailed images of his blistered arms on the large projection screen. He hadn't anticipated becoming such a scientific curiosity. The human epidermis contains specialized cells called keratinocytes, Malera explained to the audience, which rapidly reproduce to replace damaged cells. This process is remarkably efficient, completing within approximately 10 Earth days for moderate damage. After the presentation, Ian found himself surrounded by curious alien students and professors, all wanting to ask questions about human skin regeneration. Some even requested to examine his arms, now fully healed but still showing the telltale tan lines. Is it true that humans deliberately expose themselves to radiation to alter their skin pigmentation? Asked a serpentine Dracorian student. Well, yes, some people sunbathe, Ian replied awkwardly, though we're more aware of the risks now than we used to be. And your species evolved this regenerative capability naturally? Questioned a professor from the gelatinous morphin species. Without genetic engineering, as far as I know, yes, Ian said, though I'm not an expert in evolutionary biology, Dr. Zovik rescued him from the impromptu interrogation. I think we've monopolized enough of Mr. Fletcher's time, she said firmly. He has important maintenance work to complete. As the crowd dispersed, Ian thanked her for the intervention. Don't mention it, she replied with a smile. Though you might want to get used to the attention, your just a sunburn has sparked quite an interest in human physiology among our alien colleagues. Great, Ian muttered. Next time I'll remember my UV protection gear. See that you do, Dr. Zovic said. While your healing abilities impress them, I don't think we want to demonstrate more serious human medical conditions. The next day, Ian was working in the atmospheric analysis lab when Vexer approached him. The Xelarian seemed hesitant, his head tentacles barely moving. Technician Fletcher, may I speak with you privately? Sure, Ian replied, setting down his tools. What's on your mind? Vexer glanced around to ensure they were alone. Our research into your sunburn has led to a potential breakthrough for my people. Our scientists have been studying your cellular regeneration mechanisms, and they believe they may be able to synthesize a treatment that could help Xelarians recover from radiation damage. Ian was surprised. From studying my sunburn? Really? Yes. The way your keratinocytes respond to damage and accelerate production, it's given our medical researchers new insights. Vexer's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. If successful, it could save many lives on my homeworld. I had no idea, Ian said, genuinely moved. I thought you were just curious about a minor human injury. What seems minor to you is revolutionary to us, Vexer explained. Xelarians who suffer radiation burns typically lose those body parts permanently. Many die from complications. Ian thought about how casually he'd dismissed their concerns that first day. I'm sorry I didn't take your reactions more seriously. I didn't understand why you were so alarmed. No apology necessary, Vexer assured him. Different evolutionary paths lead to different biological realities. This is why the Galactic Science Academy exists, to learn from each other's differences. Over the following weeks, Ian noticed a shift in how the alien students interacted with him. They no longer seemed to view him as just the human technician, but as someone with valuable biological insights to share. They began asking him questions about other aspects of human physiology: how broken bones mend, how cuts heal, how the immune system fights infections. One afternoon, while Ian was calibrating the atmospheric sensors, Malera approached with a new question. Technician Fletcher, is it true that humans can survive partial organ removal? Trelev mentioned that humans can live with only one kidney or part of a liver. That's correct, Ian replied. Certain organs can regenerate, like the liver, and others we have redundancy for, like kidneys. Malera's head tentacles vibrated with excitement. Remarkable, Xelarian organs cannot function if partially removed. Each is an integrated whole. Every species has its advantages, Ian said diplomatically. Your ability to process and filter toxins far exceeds ours, and your photosynthetic skin supplements your nutrition, something humans can't do at all. True, Malera acknowledged, but we cannot help but admire your species' resilience. It explains much about human history and your rapid expansion across your solar system despite the dangers. The conversation gave Ian a new perspective. He'd always taken human healing abilities for granted, never considering that such regeneration might be unusual among other sentient species. 2 months after the Sunburn incident, the research station received an important visitor, Dr. Nelvar, the leading xenobiologist from the Xelarian homeworld. He had come specifically to meet Ian and discuss the research that had stemmed from the documented sunburn. Technician Fletcher, Dr. Nelvar greeted him in the station's conference room. Your contribution to Xelarian medicine may prove invaluable. I hardly did anything, Ian replied modestly. I just got careless with sun protection. Sometimes the greatest scientific discoveries arise from such unplanned events, Doctor. Nelvar said. Based on the cellular mechanisms observed in your healing process, we've developed a regenerative therapy that shows promise in preliminary trials. It may allow Xelarians to recover from radiation injuries that were previously permanent. Dr. Zovic, who was also present at the meeting, added, this is exactly the kind of cross-species scientific collaboration the Academy was founded to foster. Would you be willing to provide additional biological samples? Dr. Nelvar asked. Skin cells at various stages of your natural regenerative cycle would be particularly helpful. Of course, Ian agreed without hesitation. Whatever you need. After the meeting, as Ian headed back to his quarters, he ran into Trelev in the corridor. I heard about Dr. Nelvar's visit, the young Xelarian said. The research based on your sunburn is causing quite a stir in our medical community. So I'm told, Ian replied, though it still seems strange that something so ordinary for humans could be so important to your people. It is a reminder that we should never dismiss the experiences of other species based on our own biological framework, Trelev said thoughtfully. What is trivial to one may be extraordinary to another. Ian nodded, thinking back to that first day when he'd so casually dismissed the Xelarian's concern. I've learned that lesson too. As the project progressed, Ian found himself more actively involved in the research. He provided regular skin samples and underwent various non-invasive scans to help the Xelarian scientists understand the mechanics of human cellular regeneration. 3 months after Dr. Nelvar's visit, the research station received exciting news. The first clinical trials of the new regenerative therapy had been successful. A young Xelarian who had suffered severe radiation burns to her arm tentacles was showing signs of actual regeneration, something previously thought impossible for their species. To celebrate, the Academy held a special ceremony acknowledging the cross-species collaboration that had led to the breakthrough. Ian was asked to attend as an honored guest, which felt strange considering his contribution had been accidental. We gather to recognize a significant advancement in Xelarian medicine, Professor Zondar announced to the assembled crowd of students and faculty from various species. What began as a simple observation of a human sunburn has led to a therapeutic approach that may forever change how we treat radiation injuries. Ian felt uncomfortable with the attention, but was genuinely moved when Dr. Nelvar displayed images of the young Xelarian patient whose arm tentacles were gradually regenerating. This child would have lost all function in these appendages, Dr. Nelvar explained. Now, we project a 60% recovery of normal function, an outcome previously unimaginable in our medicine. After the ceremony, Ian found himself surrounded by grateful Xelarians, many touching their forehead tentacles to his in their traditional gesture of respect. I still can't believe all this came from a sunburn, Ian said to Dr. Zovic as they watched the celebrations. Science often works that way, she replied. Fleming discovered penicillin because of a contaminated Petri dish. Röntgen discovered X-rays by accident. Your carelessness with UV protection just happens to be the latest in a long tradition of accidental discoveries. When you put it that way, it sounds almost noble, Ian laughed. The noble part wasn't getting sunburned, Dr. Zovic corrected him. It was your willingness to share your biology with a different species to help them understand something your own kind takes for granted. The research continued to develop over the following year. Ian provided regular updates on human cellular regeneration processes, and the Xelarian medical team refined their therapies based on this information. By the time Ian's 2-year assignment at the research station was nearing its end, the Human Regeneration Project, as it had come to be known, had expanded to include researchers from 12 different alien species, each studying how human healing mechanisms might be adapted for their own physiologies. 1 week before Ian was scheduled to return to Earth, Vexer, Malera, and Trelev, now advanced students nearing the completion of their studies, requested a meeting with him. We have something to show you, Vexer said, leading Ian to one of the research laboratories. Inside, they presented him with a detailed holographic display showing the molecular structure of what they called Fletcher regenerative proteins, synthetic compounds designed to mimic the human healing response, but tailored to Xelarian biology. These are named after you, Malera explained. The therapy has now been approved for general medical use on our homeworld. Thousands will benefit from it. I don't know what to say, Ian replied, genuinely moved. I never expected my sunburn would lead to something like this. It is our way of thanking you, Trelev said. But also, we have a proposal. The Academy has authorized a new research position, a human biological consultant, to work directly with our medical teams. We were hoping you might consider extending your stay. Ian hadn't planned on remaining at the station beyond his original assignment. He'd been looking forward to returning to Earth, seeing familiar skies, feeling the particular gravity and atmosphere he'd grown up with. But the opportunity to continue being part of something so meaningful was tempting. "I'd need to think about it," he said honestly. "It's a big decision." "Of course," Vexer replied, "but know that you would be contributing to advancements that could help many species, not just Xelarians." That evening, as Ian packed his belongings in preparation for the possible return journey to Earth, he paused to look at his arms. The sunburn had long since healed, with no visible trace remaining. Something so temporary, so ordinary in human experience, had opened up an entirely new field of research for alien species whose bodies worked differently. His communication panel chimed, indicating an incoming call from Earth. It was his sister, Maya. "Hey there, spaceman," she greeted him with a smile. "All set to come home next week, actually," Ian replied. "I've been offered a position to stay on. The research based on my sunburn has turned into something pretty important." "Your sunburn?" Maya looked confused. "What are you talking about?" Ian spent the next 20 minutes explaining the events of the past year, how his casual dismissal of a minor injury had led to a major xenobiological breakthrough, and how the research had expanded to benefit multiple species. "So let me get this straight," Maya said when he finished. "You forgot your sun protection, got a bad burn, and now you're some kind of interstellar medical hero? It sounds ridiculous when you put it that way," Ian admitted. "Not ridiculous," Maya corrected. "It's actually pretty amazing." "So are you going to take the position?" Ian looked out his viewport at the alien landscape of Proxima Centauri b, the research station's gleaming towers rising against the reddish sky. "I think I am. There's still so much we can learn from each other." And apparently, even the most ordinary human experiences can be extraordinary from another perspective. "Mom's going to be disappointed you're not coming home," Maya said, "but she'll understand when you tell her you're helping advance alien medicine." "Tell her I'll visit soon," Ian promised. "And I'll be more careful about sunscreen when I do." The next morning, Ian informed Dr. Zovuk of his decision to accept the new position. "Excellent," she said with approval. "The Academy is fortunate to retain your services. Though perhaps we should include mandatory UV protection training in your new contract." "Very funny," Ian replied good-naturedly. "I've definitely learned that lesson." Later that day, he met with Vexer, Malera, and Trelev to give them his answer. Their head tentacles vibrated with excitement at the news. "This is most fortuitous," Vexer said. "We have already prepared laboratory space for the expanded research program." "Just promise me one thing," Ian said as they walked together toward the research wing. "No more using me as a test subject without warning me first." "Agreed," Malera replied, her translator conveying her amusement, "though we still have many questions about other aspects of human physiology." "Like your remarkable bone regeneration," Trelev added eagerly. Ian held up his hands in mock surrender. "One biological miracle at a time, please, and no, I'm not breaking any bones for science." As they entered the laboratory, Ian saw a new plaque on the wall. It read, "Fletcher Institute for Cross-Species Regenerative Medicine." "This seems excessive for a sunburn," he commented, embarrassed by the recognition. "It is not for the sunburn itself," Professor Zondar said, appearing from an adjacent room. "It is for what that simple injury taught us, that even across the vast differences between species, we can learn from each other's resilience. Sometimes, the most profound insights come from the most ordinary experiences." Ian nodded, finally accepting the significance of what had transpired. What had been just a sunburn to him had opened new possibilities for beings whose biology worked differently. And in that exchange of knowledge, both humans and aliens had found something valuable. As the Proxima Centauri sun set outside the laboratory windows, casting a reddish glow across the alien landscape, Ian realized that he had found his place in the universe as a bridge between different forms of life, helping each understand the other a little better. all because he'd forgotten his sunscreen one ordinary day.